guys, it's Paul of Enclosures here, bringing you a little bit of an update on some of the workings that I have going on inside my office. First off, you can see that I got a haircut. I was starting to reach on this 6-month part. I've just been really busy with stuff that's going on here and the stuff that's been going on in my new job. It's just been a busy couple of months. Let's get to the other more interesting things rather than my physical decor. Still got the shrimp. They're getting bigger. They're pretty easily noticeable now, even without any sort of magnification. The roots of these frog bits have gone absolutely crazy, and they're starting to tangle themselves along the brush in the bottom. Filter that I have on this tank is starting to slow down a lot, so I'm going to have to actually open this up and clean out the motors soon. The only thing I didn't want to do, well, the problem is that the bottom of this filter is really big, and if I pull it out, I'm going to take a lot of this frond up here with it. So what I've been trying to do is wait until I finish this new tank that I have going on over here. This is going to be a 50-gallon aquaponic tank set up in a way that I've been thinking about for a while. The idea here is that we have it's a 55-gallon tank. I cleaned it up. I doubt anyone really remembers how bad it was before, but I used Barkeeper's Friend to get rid of all the limescale stains on the side. Now it's looking really nicely. And I got myself 2 power heads from Amazon, along with I forgot what strength this is. It's just a normal pump. I think it says here. 320 gallons per hour. And I think each one of those is like 80 something. So total becomes close to the recommended amount, which is the water is supposed to have a turnover rate of 10 times per hour in any normal fish tank setup. So between these two, these two different methods, but these 2 power heads, the filter, it should keep the water flowing at the recommended amount. Now on the bottom here, if anyone's wondering what this is going to be a soil blocker. What I'm planning on doing is having a few fancy-tailed goldfish, maybe, I'm not sure, just a good-looking fish. On the bottom there's going to be a soil layer, and then on the top of that is going to be a gravel layer, and on top of that is going to be this soil blocker. The soil is going to be the soil layer is going to be coming with worms. What I want to happen is I want the worms to be able to work on any leftover fish food along with the fish poop, consume that, and then that's going to be further processed, and that's going to be released into the water as nutrients, sucked up through the pump. And then I'm going to be creating, probably even after I'm done with this video, with that sheet of acrylic over there, I'm going to have a grow box on the top. So if anyone who's familiar with my normal aquaponics setup, that's what I'm going to be doing. It's going to be a little bit off the edge, high enough that I can put my hand in there and throw extra plant matter and food, probably like a little latch here and over here. Then it's going to be above that is going to be just the grow area with the clay pebbles. So that's the idea. The pump is going to feed up through the top, around the sides, and go through on the top. The water is going to flow from one end all the way over here, and then there's going to be a hole for the water to feed back through. I'm probably going to add an air pump. I'm not sure where I'm going to connect it, probably right here, along with a siphon that I can attach maybe right here or the other side, that I can put one of these chairs underneath, and then I could kind of drip out water every now and then while I need it. I've been using this tank over here. I pull off the top whenever I need water because of all this growth, and also I don't want to accidentally pull up baby shrimp. And I just stick one of my siphon, acclimation siphons into here, and then it usually drips water into here, or whatever else I need it. That's how I get the water for all of my other setups. So I use my carefully balanced aquarium water to be creating more aquarium vases, or whatever else I need the water for. A lot of the times I'll also use it just to water plants, especially plants that seem to be coming in soil that's not very nutrient rich. In terms of updates of anything that's going on here, the Rotala nursery is still doing really well. Not too red. I can still see a little bit underneath the leaves, but it's not that noticeable. Let's try and get some iron, see if that makes a difference. I'm trying to also use this tank as a nursery. Well, it is a Rotala nursery, but I'm trying to use it as a nursery also to breed bladder snails. Now, I'm sure that sounds crazy to a lot of you enthusiasts out there, but they have a lot of practical uses for my setups. Like you can see down here, I just fertilize this tank with fish food, and the snails are consuming that. So they break down any extra waste, may it be plant waste or food, and then they convert it through their digestive systems, and then they release it back into the water. And as you can see, the plant is using the nutrients. If you don't feed the tank by feeding the snails, which feed the plants and feed the water and feed the entire ecosystem, eventually the system's going to run out of carbon. And there are only 3 ways that extra carbon gets added into the system after it's depleted. 1, the soil, which is kind of, I guess you could add extra soil, but it'll be a mess. The 2 easiest ways of adding extra carbon back into the system is by adding new water and by feeding the inhabitants. So obviously the water is going to evaporate, so I add new water that way. But I believe the bigger source of carbon would be to, at least from what I've read, the best way of doing it is by feeding your, assuming that you have inhabitants, feeding the inhabitants a little bit extra, or just adding the food on its own. Eventually the microbes in the water are going to break it down, and they're going to add that extra carbon into the system. So that's why I have the snails. They're very hardy, and they're good eaters. They'll also keep algae off the walls. And in this kind of a shoddy, it's not super shoddy, but I've never had this water culture orchid work really well for me. It's got 1 good leaf, and it's got like 2 good roots there and there, and these old roots are kind of just rotting out. It's a shame because they were doing really well. But I also have a culture of red ram's horn snails in here, and they seem to be doing well. A lot of the stuff I went over in my last video, which I'm sorry about the delay. I did make this new aquarium vase, but I don't have anything to put in it yet, so I'm just using it as a culture to breed bladder snails. All the water culture orchids in the back are doing pretty well, but I started using anthuriums now to create new varieties of aquarium vases. This one seems to be doing pretty well. You see all the air bubbles resulting from photosynthesis in the back. And then there's this bigger one. It came out pretty nice. There's some roots rotting, but many more are doing pretty well. And I view this as a acclimation process. Roots, from my observation, they seem to, when they're growing in, they're kind of like they're adapted to their surroundings. So old roots that were made for soil don't do that well in aquatic environments, and they'll have to grow to adapt. So I'm just keeping an eye on it, and I'm kind of weeding out the bad roots. You can tell they're bad by their darker complexion. The ones that are actually in the water, though, seem to be doing pretty well. So I'm just trying to stay on top of it so it doesn't release too much ammonia into the entire system. And this is another new aquatic vase I made with a peace lily. And I've known for a very long time that peace lilies can be kept like this. My first aquatic vase I made for my friend Kayla had the same exact setup. But I've gotten a little bit more fancy with my aesthetics. I've been using twine to kind of fit the top of the plant into the vase, and this one over here came out a little bit better, and this one just suffices. I can always rewrap it if I wanted to. In terms of plants inside my containers here, they're still doing really well. I haven't had to water them in a long time, and they're doing fabulously, as you can see. I love growing plants like this. I'm pretty sure that this Swiss cheese, not cheesecake, Swiss cheese philodendron is still doing pretty well. As you guys can, excuse me, see, and I already made a post about this. This temperate terrarium is kind of exploding with life. I don't see any dieback, at least not dieback that much, or that's noticeable. But if I do, I'm going to stick it on the stoops over there with my ants. I'll show you those in a second. But look at all those roots. It's pretty cool, right? Those roots are just digging in and just going everywhere, absorbing nutrients wherever they can. Oh, look at the pilea. It's kind of doing the same thing. I haven't seen this yet. I love how adaptive plants are. I'll start taking cuttings from that soon. These plants are still holding on while I make aquarium vases for them. I don't want to exhaust the water from my shrimp tank too badly right now. Before I trip into it. This is a new product I'm trying out, and I don't see any reason why it wouldn't work. This is a hanging aquarium basket. Very much the same thing as an aquarium vase, except it's now in a hanging basket form. Pretty neat. I like it. I have a couple of snails in there, and there's compost on the bottom. I specially formulated worm compost. A little bit of gravel above that, and I transferred these these scions that came from a normal hanging basket that I was using for clippings. I just got annoyed with the fact that I had to do so much upkeep with them. You know, water them like once a week. That's way too much for me. So I decided to just create an aquarium basket, hanging aquarium basket instead. That way I can basically ignore them, besides just filling up the water on the top a little bit. Whenever I can get away from soil, I choose to. I like aquatic environments a lot easier because plants, when they adapt to it, they just do 100 times better. Don't quote me on that percentage. Or multiple. And this is another one I made with clippings of Wandering Jew, also known at trade Scantia as Sabrina. I got some of these from my frog tank, and then from a rescue plant. It's doing okay. It seems to be moving towards the light. Some of it is starting to get used to its new environment, as you can see by the fact that it's curling upwards towards the light. And if it didn't have a steady source of water and it wasn't doing well, it wouldn't be even doing that. It would just be flopping over. And this is a new way that I'm trying to grow out, method that I'm trying to grow out clippings. I'm using egg crate over, I only thought about this after I made this one over here with Wandering Jew. But I throw some soil on the bottom, and then I throw some aquarium water on top of that. I put the not cheesecake, now my mind is totally on cheesecake. Got some egg crate here, and then I just stick the bottoms of the clippings in through the top, and it kind of just sits there and absorbs the nutrients, and they should grow out. My idea is I should eventually be able to use them for more hanging aquarium baskets, which is great because I didn't want to just feed these clippings to my worms, even though I totally could. Maybe I'll start a small hanging aquarium basket from this. That'd be pretty cool. Now, if you're wondering about these, I'm technically plant sitting right now. My friend Chris, who lives here with me and my family, he's plant sitting right now for a friend who I believe is going into the National Guard. So he gave us these lights and these coffee trees. I've been having some issues, but I'm trying to get them back on track. These lights were left on for 3 days and a fungal bloom kind of exploded, and they've seen better days. I got rid of the fungus and I treated it with hydrogen peroxide, and now I got these lights on a timer, so hopefully they bounce back. Not all the leaves look bad on the other trees, and even some of these leaves still feel okay, but they've seen better days. And there's also some rosemary over there. The only new plant that's in this section. And Anthurium's coloring up really nice and got a good healthy stoma, I believe is the term. But only new plant here is a Syngonium, which I'm going to be putting into an aquarium vase pretty soon. That's some of the no, don't judge me on the fact that I have fertilizer here. I don't usually work with it. It's just it came with these plants. The only problem is it smells like feces. I still got these sitting here way too long. I'm just trying to keep them around and slowly work the snails out of here until there's a biofilm here. I'm sure you can't see it very well, but I'm gonna have to change some of that water. I'm trying to save these for when I get the goldfish in this tank set up. The goldfish can eat these, and I don't want the nutrients being wasted. Of course, I could just throw them into my worm composter and get the same effect. I don't know. I guess I'm also just trying to save some food for when the fish actually get here. And I'm not sure if this was all set up last time I made a video, but this is how I'm keeping my ants right now. They're hibernating. You can see that the humidity is pretty high and the temperature is at around 50 degrees, which is adequate for them. There's the carpenter ants that are attached to that omnivet nest up there, the acrylic one. And then there's a colony of Lasius neoniger ants down there. And I'm keeping the light on them just because of the plants. But they're doing really well. And they're just really slowed down right now. But nothing to really report there, besides the fact that they're having a nice peaceful sleep. And soon I'm going to get a hold of a new ant. So I've picked up a lot of, a new queen with a founding colony. So I picked up a lot more of these so that I can create more bottle formicariums for them, which I'm really excited about because this is a species of harvester ant, which is something that I've only kept once from a flyer when I bought one of those crappy gel formicariums, and they sent over some, but of course it didn't have any queens or anything like that in with them, so it didn't really last that long. I also hit up Hobby Lobby. They were having a sale, as you can see by all these vases. I'm going to turn them into aquarium vases and water-culture orchids if I can get a hold of some. Nothing's really updated over here besides my mountain of glass. I think that may be it on updates. I just wanted to give you guys a brief overview of what I've been keeping up with. Oh, last thing. The Hypoestus seedlings, only one of them, as you can see here, has actually germinated. I'm not sure why that is. I added a couple of more seeds, but I'm not seeing any growth. Maybe it was a bad batch. I don't know. Maybe I'll talk to the seller and I can see about, I don't know if they have any tips. Maybe I'm doing something wrong, but that one seems to be doing really well, and it's just one out of all of them. These two mini terrariums. Wait, nope, never mind. I threw one seed in each and I don't see anything either. Kind of a bummer. 12/31/17. It's been a couple of weeks now since I made these Aquarium necklaces also, and they seem to be doing well. 1/14/18. I think I'm missing. Sorry about that. These Semper Vivum succulents are doing okay. I don't see any growth from any of the leaves, but the actual host plant, the original plant, seems to be doing pretty well. I forgot exactly when I made this one. It's one of my first bottle gardens. There's just Wandering Jew in it. Oh, 9/28/17. I was just looking at this before, and I think it's doing really well. It's starting to spread a little bit more, get more full. But as you can see at the top, the plants are kind of congealed in a giant mass. I feel bad for them. Plants on the bottom seem to be doing really well. And this algae-ridden container I have over here, I'm going to be putting some triops into very soon. But I guess that's it. The office is coming along pretty well. I got rid of a lot of the laundry that was over here. And I just ordered a calendar and a corkboard / whiteboard, trying to get a little bit more organized so me and Chris can work a little bit more functionally. Oh, and I'm sure for anyone who's been watching me on Instagram, you can see that I've been experimenting with Armor Etch. It's a cool little cream. I create stencils like right here. And that way that I can mark each one of my creations with a logo. It's not noticeable unless you're really looking for it, which is kind of cool because that way it doesn't take away from the actual look of the bottle garden itself. But it's just something I'm messing around with. I ordered some new X-Acto knives so I can create better looking logos. But anywho, that's basically my update, 2-week update. I really need to start making more consistent videos. It's just, I've taken over greenhouse responsibilities at my other job, and it's been really busy. And by the time I get home, I'm pretty much half dead. It's no excuse really. People have done more with less time. But yeah, that's my update, and please stay tuned for more of them. Oh, I can't believe I almost forgot this, but I am officially an entity now. Emerald Enclosures is an official LLC, which is a limited liability corporation. So I actually have a business now. Pretty neat. Doesn't feel much different. It's just, I guess, a little bit of extra security just in case someone tried to sue me over whatever reason that people could try and sue me over. So let's say that if I was to take up a job making a bunch of bottle gardens for a wedding and it doesn't come out right, they can't like take me for everything I own. Like I'm sure someone would try because people are crazy. Anywho, my next step is to create a website, an official website, so I can get people's orders through it. It can act as a portfolio, and then I need to create some business cards. So a really exciting time, and I'm looking forward to expanding along with this project, which I'm going to get back to now, and you'll see updates on that in Instagram, and you can see my progression for next week's video. Anywho, this has been Paul of Enclosures. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.